Hello everyone and welcome to the Commentator Ninja channel. My name is Mary Layton, I'm the Commentator Ninja, and today the episode is titled, Who Should Be Coaching Your Kids? But the episode really ought to be titled, Who Should Be Coaching Your Kids? Why balance is going to help you win competitions this season, a little bit about the Wolfpack Ninja Tour, and an epic bar tech talk from Matt Bradley. Let's get right into it. So first of all, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Some of you might be a little bit nervous about the title, Who Should Be Coaching Your Kids? Mary, where are you going with this? Let me start off with a couple of facts to frame this discussion. And a caveat here, some of these facts are really more so generalizations, but I would say pretty true generalizations from a lot of my observations. Okay, so 1, Ninja has only been around as a sport for about 8 years. 2, Ninja gyms didn't really become popular until a few years ago. 3, lots of ninja coaches are people that have been good at ninja and decided to make a career out of it. 4, most ninja coaches don't really have any kind of formal exercise science background. 5, most ninjas in general learn about injury prevention when they get injured for the first time. 6, ninja is a sport that trains overhead movement more than any other type of movement. 7, at-home training apparatuses are becoming more and more popular and more readily available. 8, ninja is a sport that glorifies overcoming obstacles, even sometimes when that means pain during training. 9, most ninja coaches don't have any kind of formal exercise science training background. Yes, I said that twice. Most ninjas have not even heard of stretching. Okay, I'm kidding. Mostly. I hope that you can understand now where I'm going with this discussion. The truth of our sport is that while it teaches kids some amazing lessons about resiliency and overcoming obstacles and getting back up from their failures, it is an incredibly new sport. With the sport being as new as it is, there isn't really any sort of standardized training plans. Now, these training plans are starting to creep into our ninja gyms. Warrior Factory has been using the band system for a while, and I think that that's a really smart way to progress athletes up through levels of the sport. I also know that Grit Ninja is a gym that has a pretty thorough curriculum when it comes to training their athletes, but in general, there's not really an established method for training athletes to function at a high level within the sport of ninja in a balanced manner. Ninjas train so much overhead, so much upper body. They train really only the front of the legs to do those big strides or getting up the warped wall or some of those more parkour movements. Did you know that in female athletes, if you have undertrained hamstrings, which happens a lot in ninja, if you're not training in a balanced way, female athletes are more likely to get a non-contact ACL tear with undertrained hamstrings. And I can think of 2 female ninjas that I know that happened to within the last 2 years. We're starting to see in our younger and younger athletes rounded shoulders. Anytime you have an imbalance in a muscle system, one muscle system and then the opposite muscle system, the overtrained muscles are going to pull on the tendons and pull on the joints really, really strongly when you're going through any sort of exercises. Your undertrained muscles aren't going to be able to match that pull. And so there's an imbalance on how the muscle is pulling around the joint. It's not pulling the way it's supposed to. This can lead to a lot of injuries and a lot of strains, especially when you're putting those joints through really aggressive motions like we do in ninja. The effects of overtraining are especially concerning in your higher level, more competitive ninja athletes. It's not so much of a concern with your ninjas that are competing recreationally or even in your classes from day to day, learning more about the sport of ninja and just kind of getting their feet wet, maybe only training 1 day a week. But the ninjas that have at-home rigs, easy access to open gym, are training every single day. Overtraining is a huge concern. Another concerning thing about our sport is the fact that younger and younger ninjas now have access to Instagram and TikTok. A lot of your high level elite athletes are posting content synonymous with no days off, keep working hard, push through the pain. Now, I am a huge fan of working hard. You can ask any of my kids at the gym. I am even a huge fan of working hard when you don't want to work hard. But I am not a huge fan of working super hard and pushing yourself to the limit if it's going to be detrimental to your overall health and ultimately send you towards an injury. Overtraining equals injury, not victory. Another risky thing that I have seen when it comes to younger athletes who are training to be really competitive is that trust is automatically given to anyone who has been on the show and has done well on the show. Kind of makes sense, right? They did well on the show, they absolutely must know what they're doing, right? Unfortunately, in my experience, success on the show really doesn't have any sort of correlation to a knowledge base around proper training principles and training in a healthy and balanced way. For example, I had a discussion with an athlete that had appeared on American Ninja Warrior and done incredibly well. They argued that if you're doing conditioning, you should do more reps with bad form and push through, as opposed to doing whatever amount of reps you could do with good form. They said more reps with bad form would train you to not give up on the obstacles and not fall off the obstacles. In case anyone's wondering, more reps with bad form is not sound training advice. That's gonna send you to an injury. So, who should be coaching your kids? The majority of ninja coaches out there have the absolute best intentions towards your kids. They want them to grow. They want to teach them how to get through failure. They want to teach them how to be resilient. But unfortunately, there is still a lack about proper training techniques. If you have a highly competitive athlete, a ninja that is training anytime they can, every day, this is something that's really important for your ninjas coach to know and understand. I am certainly not suggesting that if your ninja coach doesn't have an exercise science background or doesn't have a personal training certification that you just leave and go find someone else. That's absolutely not what I want to encourage. But I do want to encourage you to start those conversations with the coaches at your gyms. Start asking them, hey, what do you know about injury prevention? Hey, what are we doing to balance out the training that these ninjas are doing with all this upper body? And make sure that they're getting a balanced training methodology in. Start those conversations, research it yourself. Look up how to do the movements that your ninjas are doing properly, like pull-ups and push-ups. What is good form? Then you can help them and encourage them to do it in a healthy, balanced way. Now, some of you might be like, Mary, they're kids. They could not warm up, train for 6 hours, not stretch, and they'd be fine. Okay, kids are pretty resilient. They're pretty stretchy, they're pretty bendy. I get it. I work with a lot of them. However, we don't want to teach our kids bad habits now. These are kids that are going to turn into teenagers, that are going to turn into young adults, that are going to turn into adults, that are going to stay with the sport and continue to wish to be competitive, right? We need to be giving them a balanced training method now so that they carry those healthy habits and we're setting them up for success long term. That's what it's about here. It's not about how good can I make this athlete right now. It's how can I set this athlete up to have long-term success in the sport and be able to do it for a really long time. Moving right along, I am about to show you how balance helps you win competitions. Now, please take a look at the next 3 videos of your top 3 male athletes at the FINA Speed Championship. Most of you, if you follow Ninja closely, which if you watch my channel, I imagine you probably do, you know that Lucas Reale won the men's FINA Speed Championship. If any of you were paying even closer attention to the run order, you might have expected that Xavier Nocido was a shoo-in to win this particular division. I kind of agree with you. He's a very fast athlete, he's risky, he trains at Ninja Mania, which as I say in all of my streams, they know how to go fast and they train their kids how to go fast. So why didn't Xavier, who was probably a shoo-in in a speed course, take the competition? balance obstacles. Okay, take a look at these split times. If you look through the breakdown of the split times on each individual obstacle, Lucas was actually only the fastest through one of the upper body obstacles, the tires, and Alex Romer, who took second, was the fastest through all of the other upper body obstacles. If you drop it down and compare the lower body obstacles to the upper body obstacles and the total time spent on all of those, you'll see that Lucas was actually about a second slower than Romer was through the upper body obstacles, but he was almost 2 seconds faster through the lower body obstacles, which was able to give him the edge over Romer, and he beat him by about a second. Lucas's super strength here is that he is super confident in his foot placement, and he's also very comfortable finding his center and stepping immediately off the block onto a balance obstacle. He doesn't waste any of that time like finding his balance, he just goes. That is why he was able to get through all of those balance obstacles so much faster than the other competitive athletes in his division. If you're gonna work on balance, those are 2 things that you really gotta make sure you focus on. I also think that with the introduction of the full course format in the WNL, balance skills are going to become a lot more critical to winning competitions. Historically speaking, gyms avoid putting balance obstacles in competitions because 1, nobody likes them, and 2, they want people to get to the bigger flashy things at the end. You want finishers. I get it. You don't want to make ninjas upset because they couldn't do a balance obstacle and then they didn't get to do the rest of the fun obstacles. I think that ninjas should just train balance. Anyways, with the new full course rules, the more athletes that attempt an obstacle with a high fail rate, the athletes that are able to complete that obstacle are going to be awarded more points. That means if there is a balance obstacle that is super tricky and all the athletes are going through it and only a couple are completing it, those couple that can complete that balance obstacle are going to get a very high point value added to their total score, which is going to determine the winner of the competition. Another thing about this full course method, because it is not fall and done, I think you might see course designers doing things a little bit out of order, right? You don't necessarily have to have a progressive course in difficulty if you can fall and continue, right? You could put a crazy power obstacle right at the start of the course so that the athletes are fully prepared to do this big, flashy, exciting thing, right? Or you could put a really hard balance obstacle literally anywhere in the course. With this new format, I do think you're gonna see some diversions from what we typically know to be course design, and I do think balance obstacles are going to show up more. I say that particularly because the first 2 full course competitions in the New England region are going to be at Ultimate Obstacles, which is, a gym that I happen to have an affiliation with. I think that ninjas should just train balance. And also TA Fitness Plymouth, which happens to be the gym that Lucas Reale owns, who just won a competition because he was great at balance. So, train balance, ninjas. Not just because I said so, but for your own competitive careers. I've been doing a lot of talking, but I want to talk about one more thing. I want to take a brief moment to talk about the Wolfpack Ninja Tour. So I was going to do a segment on who we could expect to win in Hartford based on the course that we saw in Colorado, which, in case anybody is wondering, if you're a tall male athlete with a consistent run, you're probably going to win. And for the females, if you can jump really high onto the first tipping point and link the final obstacle before the warped wall, and also have a consistent run, you will probably win. But anyways, the Hartford tour got canceled, right? Due to low ticket sales. And Ryan Stratt actually posted a really great question. He said, how do we make fans of American Ninja Warrior fans of the sport of ninja and get them to come out to these events? I think that that's a really key question when we're thinking about the growth of the sport, and it's something we're going to talk about a lot more in future episodes. However, I don't want to do this conversation alone. Put your thinking caps on. Start thinking about this. Start thinking of your ideas. If you have any right now, please chime in the comments. Populate some information on what you think is the way that we can do this. We're going to talk about this quite a lot in the next couple of weeks, so please let me know your thoughts. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to do a tech talk with Matt Bradley about bar tech. Why is bar tech important? Well, first of all, it's incredibly fun and incredibly flashy. All your top ninjas are doing it all over Instagram. But I am seeing a lot more gyms have flying bar setups. So this is definitely going to show up in competitions. It's on the brain of the ninja community. It's in the head of the course designers. Bar tech is important. There's some basic bar tech that we're going over on this, and also some more advanced techniques, so definitely take a look at this.
Hello everyone, my name is Mary Layton. I'm the Commentator Ninja, back here again in the Brad Barn with none other than Matthew Bradley for another Tech Talk. Very exciting. You guys see, there's a bar here today. Most of you know, and I say it in most of my live streams, that any type of bar tech move, I have zero doubts that Matt Bradley is going to complete it. One of the most recent exciting things I've seen Matt do was at the Vitality Obstacle Fitness Comp, where I don't know how to even describe it, but basically he skipped some moves on the lightning bolts, and it was very impressive, and nobody else did that. So, this is the man to learn from if you are learning bar tech. We are going to talk about a couple of different things today. Matt Bradley, take it away.
All right, so the first thing with bars is how you want to hold them. I like shoulder width plus like 2 inches, so like my elbows have like room to like go by me. If I'm here, I'm gonna hit myself. This varies by obstacle. If I'm doing bar spins, I like my hands like this. If I'm doing a flying bar that's wide, I like my hands wider. The narrower your hands are, the quicker the ends of the bar are gonna move, and vice versa. So depending on like what the constraints of the obstacle you're doing are, that's how you want to determine what you're doing with your hands. How you hold the bar is also important. I mean, normally we hold bars kind of just like this, hands wrapped around. I like to do it a little looser, where my calluses go below the bar. This leaves my wrists a little freer, so I have more flexibility. If I'm like holding it normally, see how it's tighter because my wrists are more engaged? I like my wrists right below it, so I have more flexibility.
I actually do want to talk about the wrist flexibility thing. So, Matt Bradley is an advanced ninja, so he is going to be doing a lot of things, and I would say that the looseness is definitely an advanced technique. So if you are a newer ninja, you guys need to be holding onto the bar pretty tightly, because you're still building up that strength to be able to hang on to a bar as it slams down into a cradle. So we're not doing the loose technique until we say so, until your coach says you're ready for it.
Yeah. All right, so when you're starting bar obstacle, I like to think about where I'm going. It's very important in the air that you have the bar straight. If I have the bar crooked, I'm probably not going to be able to spot both placements, because on these hooks, this is 3 feet wide. My peripheral only goes so far. You really want to focus on keeping the bar straight. I only look at one side, because if the bar is straight, then I know where both sides are if I know where one is. One thing that'll help you with that is if you notice my arms are bent differently. This one's almost straight out from my body. This one is out a little bit. This is because your wrists are turned slightly in mixed grip, which you probably should use. Moves are like a lot harder in forward grip. The next thing that's important when you're doing bar moves is how you throw. A lot of moves you can get away with throwing pretty normally, like how you would for a lache, but most more technical moves, I like to do more of an underbar technique, where I bring my feet up first, and then because I'm more like V'd like that, I can pop my hips further and get more height. So a normal throw would look more like this. That's fine on moves like this, but if you're doing like a more precise flying bar or like a bear trap, for example, you're gonna want more height so you have more time to place the bar. So I would do that more like this. All bar moves, when you're placing the bar, your goal is to place the bar down before your weight comes down. So while you're still in the air, so it's more like catching a static bar. It's a lot harder to place the bar and land at the same time, because you have to react to being placed a lot sooner. If you can place the bar, know it's down, then you have a lot more time to pull in, so it's a lot less grip intensive. All right, this is an advanced bar tech talk. If you're more of a beginner, I would stay away from this one. Today we're gonna be talking about underhook moves. This is any move where instead of going forward at it, you're going back into the hook, kind of like an undergrab, like on cliffhanger. So when I'm doing these, the main things I like to think about are how my arms are at the start and when I'm doing the move, and what my legs are doing. So I swing straight armed, bend my arms on my last backswing, bring my legs up so my back and my legs are parallel to the ground. Then I skate the bar along my legs, so I'm in kind of like a C position. Then I open up to slam the bar into place.
I'm Mary Layton, the Commentator Ninja.
I'm Matt Bradley. Thank you for coming to my Tech Talk.
That is all we have time for today. We talked about a lot today, so as always, please chime in the comments with any of your thoughts about anything we discussed. Always open and excited to hear all of your feedback. This is Mary Layton, the Commentator Ninja, signing off.